I never imagined myself going to try to work for myself or go find clients myself. Never. It just made sense that the last few locations I went, I was doing everything. I was the requested one. I was doing this. I was doing the job of multiple people, where it finally hit me going, why not at least make the money? At least if I'm doing everything, at least let me reap the benefits of it.
Hi, I'm Becky. Welcome to Short Story Long. In this podcast, we discuss ways you can integrate who you are into how you lead. Imagine you're living the dream. Interesting work with good people. Except there's another dream that has surfaced. In order to be your true self, it's time to make a change. The new dream for my guest today included the chance to snowblow not only his own driveway, but that of his neighbors. Okay, he enjoys that, but what his dream was truly about was family, choice, and finding his happy, normal self again. Today, I'd love to welcome my guest, Anthony Marzilli. Anthony is a talented video and motion graphics editor with over 20 years of experience. He has done work for several of Detroit's major sports teams. During his career, he transitioned from working for a major Detroit sports franchise to going into business for himself. He's been doing that for nearly a decade. Hi, Anthony. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Becky, very much for having me.
Yeah, so we get to hear a little bit about your story in terms of your transition from working for other people into working for yourself. I think a really great place for us to start is just to understand, what was your career like before you went out on your own? What did it look like?
My first job right out of college was doing TV commercials. Started with doing audio, and then I found myself being interested when I'd see people doing video, and I wanted to learn, and I taught myself after that. That's when YouTube was starting to get big and all that. So there were so many resources to learn a lot, and started learning that, and then started making TV commercials in Metro Detroit. That lasted 5 years, and I needed a change and ended up going to another place. And then a couple of years later, I found myself getting an offer for one of the sports teams around here. And I did that, and it was fun. It was exciting. It was everything I wanted, but the work-life balance just didn't exist. Mm. So it's like not even about being a balance. There was just no life. And I always wanted to be a dad. And at that point I had a young son, like 2-3 years old. And I knew I had a second one on the way. And I really wanted to be a dad. And I was not happy with never being home. And that's really where I decided, you know what, I guess I'm going to take a chance because I want to be home with my kids. That's really what triggered it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess even earlier than that, speaking of kind of following your heart and going into a new change, when you were doing the audio, what was the call from video that had you really going in that direction?
It was just being amazed. I mean, I really enjoyed audio. That's what I went to school for and all that. And then I saw other people doing graphics and motion graphics and even Photoshop. And I was so amazed, where it just piqued my interest. And I just wanted to keep learning. I found that after college is when I really found I like learning the absolute most.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like you like to learn new things, and when ideas surface, that you like to explore them a little bit. And I'm sure that plays into the story that you'll be sharing with us today as well of, ooh, what's that? I need to figure that out a little bit more, right? How true is that in terms of forecasting?
It's extremely true. There's good and bad with that, because always wanting to learn, I found I really enjoy learning. But that is also one of the hard parts of video, is you never are set. Like, you never have that skill that you can just keep continuing to do and you'll be fine. You have to keep learning nonstop. And that can be a hard part of it. Like, you can't just ever just enjoy the process anymore. You're always having to grow.
Yeah, there's always that cutting edge technology or that new way of looking at things, it sounds like. Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm understanding you correctly, that last role that you had before you went on your own, that was you working for one of the Detroit sports teams directly.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So when you were working for them, what were you thinking and feeling in that particular role at the time?
I loved the people. The people were amazing. The work was fun. I always wanted to work in sports. I've always been a sports kid. I mean, sports was my life. I just loved it. So the chance that I got to actually work for one of the teams was like a dream come true. And then when I was there, it was nonstop. So it was fun, but I was just getting so burnt out. I was just getting so burnt out from doing their commercials to the stuff on the big screen or the Jumbotron and social and that. And it was nonstop. And, then the chance to go on my own was, it was a scary one. It was more, I didn't know where else to go. And I was like, this is my chance.
In terms of the burnout and that sense of just there's so much happening and so much that I have to do, what did that look like for you within your career at that time in terms of hours and multiple plates spinning, things like that? What was going on?
Hours, I've never been an hour counter. and because also we were salary, so
doesn't matter.
Counting hours it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was a team that they would have 4 home games in a week, and you were there from 8 a.m. and then the game's at 8:00 at night. And so you're from there from 8 a.m. till midnight, 4 days a week. And then, the games are done during the week. Oh, now the players are going to do this charity thing 2 hours away. You're there doing that. And it's not in the video world. It's not just going and filming something. You then have to go home and edit or go back to it's not just like you're there documenting. There's so much more time after it. So it was nonstop where you're just constantly working on projects.
When you think about the in-person time versus the development, creation, execution kinds of things, what kind of ratio is that? I mean, for every hour of film, like what is the production piece on that, would you say?
You can be on a shoot for 2 hours. Well, it's probably 4 to 5 of editing, 4 to 5 hours of editing. So it's usually more time putting it together. It really is. It almost always is longer to put together than it is being on site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for someone like me who's not really familiar with that, I mean, I do get it that you don't get it in the first cut. I've been doing this for long enough to know that I don't get it done in the first cut. Right. And so with that, it just gives a little bit of perspective that when you're out there doing what people see you doing, then there's also all of those elements of what they don't see and where the magic happens behind the curtain, if you will.
Yeah. And especially with players is you don't get a lot of time with them. So it's really not even about doing takes. You have to just document what's there and make a story. like you don't always get what you actually want. You have to make the story out of what you have. So it's a lot of just making it work as much as you can. And then you can't even really focus on it that much because, as soon as this is done, you've got 4 more you have to get done. So, and that is when I was realizing I was hitting my limit is I loved my coworkers and I would look at them and I go, I'm not myself anymore. I'm not my happy, friendly person. I'm sitting here frustrated about everything. And that was the signal for me going, I know I've hit my limit.
How is that affecting your relationships?
Well, with that, the group of editors I worked with at that time are still my best friends to this day. So it's amazing how I knew I wasn't myself and I was getting frustrated, but they still mean so much to me. And we still all talk often. And it's been almost 10 years since I've been there and we still get along so well. So that part was really nice.
I love hearing that you still maintain those relationships and still have that bond with them. And at the same time as you're noticing, I'm not me, how did that affect how you were able to interact with other people?
And that got hard. I just knew it. So they didn't even notice it as much where they knew that it was all a grind and we're all feeling it a little bit, but I felt so not myself that I am a very friendly, outgoing, friendly person that enjoys the games. And then when I would dread that I have to go to another game and just sit there to do whatever, the sport was no longer fun.
Mm.
I was burnt out when I got home. I wanted to be with my family and I just was tired and felt like just like a short circuit. I just could snap at any moment. I remember getting home at like midnight and I could tell that one of the neighbors would snow blow our driveway. And I felt so guilty, but at the same time, so thankful that I had people to do that. But I felt horrible that I couldn't be doing that for my family because, and I couldn't. You can't snow blow or shovel at 2 a.m. because that sounds horrible.
Yeah, the neighbors really frown on that.
Yeah, they would not like that. So it when I had that, it was so helpful. But I just felt I was like, I am not being the person I want to be. I'm not being a family person and taking care of my family in any way because the money was okay, but it wasn't near life changing where wife could stay home with the kid. No, nothing like that. So it's like, it still wasn't it wasn't making it work.
Okay. Yeah. And that sounds like it's a bit of a catalyst for you to be thinking about what else can I be doing? And naturally, we know you went into business for yourself. Was that sort of the thing that you felt like it was the solution, or did you kind of consider other options as well?
Oh, I would definitely consider other options. I never imagined myself going to try to work for myself or go find clients myself. Never. It just made sense that the last few locations I went, I was doing everything. I was the requested one. I was doing this. I was doing the job of multiple people where it finally hit me going, why not at least make the money? At least if I'm doing everything, at least let me reap the benefits of it. Be responsible for everything and not just have to do everything. I can say no if I really wanted to or anything like that. So that is kind of, it was more out of fear and just like, oh, I'm going to try. And I was talking about it for months. So I had some friends being like, oh, we'll have these jobs. You can take these ones or have these ones. So I had people looking out. Every single one of those fell through within the first 2 months of me going on my own. But I at least had the support of people looking out for me, trying to help. It didn't work out that great, but it still is nice when you have that network of people that want to see you succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just the people cheering along the side that can tell you that if you keep on trying, they believe that you will be successful, and sometimes maybe believing for you more than you can believe in you in that particular moment. And, as you're talking about that, recognizing, okay, so I'm doing all of these pieces anyway. Why don't I just do them for me and collect the whole paycheck? But then you also said that you had gone through that process for a couple of months. What was the resistance that you felt for going out on your own?
Definitely the fear of taking care of, I had a wife and a child at that time, and we had our daughter, was being born, within a year at that point. So I knew she was coming. Yeah. That fear of it not working and then figuring out where to go, which I did feel I could get a job if I really wanted to. I know if I put my mind to things, I could succeed if I'm given the chance. That's, I guess, a confidence I have in myself that I love to learn. And if I'm given a chance, I'm going to do the best I can. But yeah, it's still scary when I wanted to be on my own so I could be a dad, and then just knowing that you can fail by not being able to support for them for the exact same reasons you're trying to go home.
Mm. Yeah. So it falls in the pros and the cons in a sense at the same time. Yeah. What was it that helped you overcome that fear? Because obviously here you're almost a decade in, right? So something worked out.
Well, at that point, for one of the auto companies here in Detroit, I was doing some side work. So I still did some side work. And it was one of the biggest projects I had where they wanted like 10 videos and this and that. And it was big. So I had at that point, like my biggest check in my life, like coming it in retrospect. I mean, it's not that crazy amount, but it was like I had my bills paid for 2 months. So it's like just that right there was going, if I don't try going now, I don't know if I ever will. So it was just knowing I had for at least 2 months bills paid. Let's take a chance. Mm-hmm. That was really it, is because that one check made it that I could take the risk. And if not, I can find a job in 2 or 3 months if I really, really, or hopefully find a job at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was that one side project that really made it work.
So you had your seed money essentially in terms of getting the business started.
I did it myself. Well, kind of. I don't like phrasing it as myself because even with being on my own, I'm not on my own. I get to just, it's weird when how to phrase this. I can say it. I don't have clients. I get to work with amazing people. And that was like one of the first ones of people that really helped me in business and tried to teach me my value in this, and going like I told you, that was good money where I could make it for 2 months. And later on, that guy tells me, goes, oh yeah, when you told that price, it was so cheap that we couldn't say no. And yeah, that gave me my on its own, but it was like, to them, it was not a lot of money. And, just seeing that different perspective was eye-opening to me.
Yeah, they were dancing to write that check.
Yes.
And you were dancing to receive it. So exactly. I guess it was a win-win.
Exactly. It's like I am on my own, but I also I now get to choose the people I want to work with. And man, I am so fortunate to have amazing people I get to work with.
Yeah, there is something about that where if you feel like the vibe isn't quite right, there is that opportunity.
Yes.
And yet there's a little bit of feast and famine every once in a while with that too. What were some of the obstacles that you faced after you made the decision to go out on your own?
Well, that one of the friends helping me out, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to have this one's coming. And then they didn't. And so that first year or two was pretty hard. And then another opportunity, which was, so daughter was born in March. By the way, so I went on my own. I remember the last day I walked into the sports job was on December 3rd. Like it was the last day of the year. And I started January 1st on my own. So I remember that in 2017, I started on my own. I had an opportunity in March to go to Costa Rica with a person I was doing work with and do videos on a coffee farm, the coffee farm that's going from conventional to organic. And it was like such a great opportunity. But that was, at that point, my wife had to get an extra week off so I could go to Costa Rica because she was supposed to go back to work. So it wasn't a good business decision. I didn't make a ton of money at all. But yeah, just life experiences that I never thought I would ever get to have in my life. So I guess, yeah, as time keeps going, money is good, but the life experiences are just as valuable.
Well, and it sounds like you get to continuously learn, because whatever you are recording in terms of that experience is also teaching you something. But then it's also that opportunity to learn from people you choose to learn from as well.
Yeah, I always love sports. So getting to do the sports teams is fun. But I've worked for, car companies, which I don't know a ton about cars, but when you get to be around some of these amazing pieces of machinery, it's awesome. And to be able to learn that is so cool. I've worked for companies that are helping to cure breast cancer and make it go, like, to be part of that, and you're saving people's lives. Oh yeah. So all the places I go, I get to learn. And it, like I say, or we said earlier, after college, I just found that I really like learning, and you can learn every job you're on, you can learn something new if you want to look at it that way. And I love looking at it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big part of that sounds like it's just the thrill of it in a sense for you, that is this an exciting, interesting thing that I get to learn?
Yeah.
Let's flip that learning back on you a little
Okay.
bit. Since you started your own business, what would you say you've learned about yourself?
Man. And it changes. It changes over time. At first, I learned I'd call it like I can hustle. I can work longer than everybody. Well, 10 years later, I don't stay awake as long anymore. Body hurts a little bit more, but instead of just hustling more, I do realize even more it's about relationships, and that like, so it changes, and you can constantly learn different things. Yeah, I guess I have learned over this time how much I appreciate people and learning with people. And I do think relationships are extremely important and be good to everybody.
One of the other key things that we have to learn when we go out into business on our own is that while we can make magic happen and while we can really get what our clients need from us, there's also that working on the business, not just in the business side of things. What were the things that you really were challenging yourself to learn about being the business owner and being the entrepreneur?
So when I first went out on my own, like that thought didn't go in my head, which is not necessarily good, but I knew video world, and I felt confident that I could do a good job. I had no business background. I didn't I took I think marketing in college, but I mean none of this was in there. So I still feel I am learning nonstop. But again, that's what I feel keeps echoing here is just you never stop learning. But I didn't know business. So I'm learning every year, asking accountants, asking friends that know stuff, just finding other people that are on their own and asking how they do things, why they do things, just always being curious and seeing how I can do better. And then, and this, and I feel like I feel like every year I kind of go, this year I'm going to focus on this. This year I'm going to really try to do this. This year I'm going to do this. So I'm trying to have a little bit of a goal each year to keep focusing on that business part. That is one. And then the way you phrase that is kind of, it rings to me where you're like, oh, it's working on the business instead of in the business. And that is a big problem of mine because I keep going, I love what I get to do. I love the experiences. So stepping back is hard for me. So that's where I don't know how much I either want to grow the business or if I'm at a limit, but I think I know I don't want to be too big. I don't think I want a big company. And I think that is maybe, I don't want to say frowned upon, but people don't talk about that. They're always talking about getting bigger and making more money and this. And I'm pretty happy that by not being really big, I can spend time with my kids. I can still give all the attention I want to people as much as I can. I mean, I do have to turn down some things. I mean, I do have helpers that, they're freelancers that I use, but I don't want to get too big. I want to be able to keep working on these things because I love the experiences I get in my life.
And it's such an interesting dynamic with that because they talk a lot, whoever they are,
Exactly.
about being the founder and then having to switch into like CEO land. And that's what you're talking about makes me think about is when it's no longer you necessarily doing the things that drew you into this role in the first place, but also no longer meeting that initial goal. Your initial goal from what I've heard you talk about was I want to be the dad that I choose to be, and I want to have a business that supports me so that I can be the dad I want to be. And really channeling all of that effort into that particular goal. That's a personal decision about how big you want things to go and what you have, what that looks like on any given day. And that's that opportunity for introspection How is it that you work with this idea of what other people expect me to be versus what I want me to be?
Yeah. And that's where I kind of hinted or started going with that is I feel like either social media or just business world it's all about profits and this and this. And I might not make the most money, but I feel like I'm living a dream for some of the things I get to do, especially in the sports world. I always wanted to be an athlete, but I'm 5'10", 200 pounds. Like I'm not big. I'm not going to be this giant athlete doing things, but the fact that I get to work still around a lot of this, it absolutely is a dream come true. And I say this right to fans. I'll say it right there where they're saying you're just like, oh, you're doing that. And I'm like, I'm living a dream. I never thought I would get to do this. And I feel lucky every day. I don't like the word lucky. Lucky is like it happens once. I like the word fortunate that I'm very fortunate that I was given the opportunity and then embraced it and kept doing a good job to where they will bring me back. And that's what I like. The first time it's lucky, but after that, you're very fortunate.
You know, the coach inside me just can't leave this alone. I'm going to be honest with you that even when you talk about it being lucky there, you created the opportunity. No one walked up to you and said, hey, I've decided that you should be this lucky man who won the lottery and you get to be doing this work. You had done the side hustle. You developed that into an opportunity to give yourself that seed money. There's something in that when we don't necessarily look back on it and give ourselves the credit for what we've done, man, we're cutting ourselves short when we do something like that, right?
There's that, but that's where I went back. We said it at the beginning where it's all about relationships and networking. So the way that the auto one happened was somebody I knew at college who saw a video that I did somewhere, then going, hey, they did something a lot. This other company did something like this. Do you think you can do a graphic video like that? And I'm like, yeah, I absolutely can. So because of knowing that person, which that one I again don't think is luck that I knew them 10 years ago when we were in college, to be able to keep that going but by giving that opportunity, then that happened. Well, then that company gave my name to another auto place around here and another big racing place around here. Like, so that one relationship kept snowballing. And then actually, it's the same in sports as the way I turned down a job with one of the teams around here. And then that person who I turned said no to, or I just didn't want to make the drive for all the games, was like, oh, here, I'm going to give your name to this team. That's how it happened. And then I took that one and then that moved on to the next team, because once you're in the sports world, it's a small world. It's pretty cool where you go around and you start to know everybody on all the teams and
absolutely
from different states too.
Yes.
It's such a cool community of skilled people that really love what they do. Yeah. And really skilled people. I look at it, I'm blown away by some of the stuff I see.
So if someone's listening to us have this conversation and they're thinking, how would I make this happen for myself? What's the 2 pieces of advice that you would want to give them based on what you've learned?
Be good to everyone. Be nice to everyone. Be friendly to everyone. You never know who you're talking to. Again, nothing good in life comes from being mean to someone. So I really think it's about being a good person. That's really the big, I really feel so much boils down to that. And then, never stop learning. Always want to know more and learn and ask. Don't feel bad to ask questions to somebody else. If you want to learn how they did it, ask them. Just ask. That goes back to the relationships. It's about the people and learning from them. Yeah, those are the 2. I guess that would be it, is really be nice to everybody, be friendly to everybody. Good things come from good relationships, and never stop learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really powerful about that too is how connected those 2 things are. when you ask for things with kindness or you deliver things with kindness, those relationships continue to build. And all of a sudden, you keep learning from all of the people around you as you just tap into that. That's what I've heard you talk about a lot, is the relationships are amazing because they keep on enriching what I know, what I understand, and how I do the work that I do, whether that's in the business or on the business, right? One of the other areas that I know that you were really wanting to focus on when you made this change was your family. And when you think about what you anticipated as being that more present dad, how much of that do you feel like you were able to live?
It's wonderful. I take my kids to school every day. I pick them up every day. I get to go help at the school if I can. I mean, and I still have a lot of shoots and edits to do, but to just take a day to go do that is so nice. And yeah, so 2-3 times a month, I have to get help with either we drop them off early for daycare or my wife can take them on those mornings because I have shoots. But when I can do 90% of the days, it really has worked out pretty awesome. Early on, it was harder. Younger kids need more attention. And I have been hustling to try to keep people wanting to work with me and all that. So there's that. But now as my, especially son is getting older, he's 10 right now. Now he's into sports. I phrase it this way with him. I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work. And he can see it, and he can maybe catch me at a game on the camera. And when he sees it, you can tell there's a little bit of a pride there now, where when he was younger, that didn't mean anything. But so it is kind of fun as time goes on. I really can share that with my kids.
Yeah, because what they see in you is the joy in the work. And yet they also get to literally see you at work, which is a really powerful thing. And I'm wondering if you still celebrate all of the opportunities to snowblow your driveway at this point.
Not just that. So before when I was with the one team, I would shovel because I wanted to exercise, because with video, you sit behind a desk a lot. So that's my chance to get out and move. Well, like 2 years ago, I did get a snowblower, and instead of taking an hour to do my house, I now do 10 houses in about the same amount of time. So I do all my neighbors and all that, because yes, I take a lot of pride in helping everyone. And that makes me feel good. So yes, I have a snowblower and I can help so many more people now, and I love it.
You can be my neighbor anytime.
I'll do it. I love it. I love it. When other people don't have to get out in the cold and all that. Yes, I just, and it goes back really to that day when I worked for the late sports, that when I came home and saw somebody do that, it was so helpful. And if I can just give a little bit of that to somebody around here, just showing that they're thought of and being looked out for, I love it.
Yeah. It's the giving back what you received at that point is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes. And yeah, I've told that to that person, but I still don't know if they realize how much it meant. But like I say, it also made me sad going, I couldn't do it for my family, but to know you have good neighbors, which again, you can't pick your neighbors. So when you have good neighbors, it's amazing.
It's priceless.
It is. It is. And I want to be that neighbor for people. So that's my thing. Yeah. I'm always thinking, I want to be the person I want to be the person that you've always wanted in your life. Do that for others. And
yes,
that's what I keep doing.
Love that. Anthony, is there anything that you would want to make sure that you shared with our listeners that I haven't asked you about? No is an acceptable answer.
No, you're really hitting it. And I guess one thing that was going in my head, I was trying to think how to phrase it in with what you just said, which was you learn from the jobs. The thing is, it's also a choice. There are people that will go in and just do the job and go. Well, you know what? When I'm doing that job and I find somebody smiling, I'll go up to them and be like, you've been smiling all day. You have a wonderful smile. Everything going good. Like, you can make every day amazing. It is a choice that you can go in and look to learn and look to want to know more instead of just coasting through life. All the opportunities are there, but it is a choice to take advantage of those.
Yeah. And what it makes me think of as you say that is really how much we can even just brighten someone's life by being kind to them. That person might be smiling, but they might be faking that smile with every ounce of their being. And all of a sudden you compliment them and they're like, hey, you know what? I have a nice smile.
You have
I am spreading joy with the look on my face right now.
We have no idea what people are going through.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yes.
Well, I just want to thank you for taking the time to share your story with me here today, Anthony. Thank you so much for all that you have shared about your experience, and really just appreciate you.
You're one of those people that just being around you makes everything great. And
Well, thank you.
I enjoy being around you.
Thanks. If you're interested in connecting with Anthony, you can find more information about him at anthonymarzilli.com. We've put that link in the show notes for you. I think it's quite clear that Anthony found his happy self again. His ability to integrate his two dream experiences shows that it can be possible to get what we truly want. Anthony saw the importance of seeing when you are not yourself. While he and his colleagues were in a similar grind, it was affecting each of them differently. He could have sunk into frustration and resentment, and instead considered what was most important to him. He wanted to keep learning and doing the work he loved. He also wanted to be the dad he chose to be, and change was needed to do that. He said he hadn't ever considered becoming an entrepreneur. Honestly, I hear that a lot. You don't always predict or have a specific vision of how your next dream or goal will materialize. He's still deciding, though I think he knows, whether he wants to build out larger or continue with a focus on life experiences and the people who provide joy in his life. He's placed his trust in relationships and momentum. He's embraced the power of giving kindness. As you consider change in your life, your story may not include a snowblower. It absolutely will include what is most important to you. It may not be obvious right away how it will all fit together. Maybe take a note from Anthony and consider how kindness and positive relationships may serve you. Thanks for listening. If you found this episode helpful, share it with someone who could benefit from it. Until next time, I'm Becky Fraser, reminding you to integrate who you are with how you lead. Okay, bye.